Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is how to calculate and understand a cap rate. The capitalization rate, or cap rate, is a fundamental metric for evaluating the potential return on a real estate investment, typically at the commercial level. It's crucial to comprehend how to calculate it to make informed investment decisions. The basic cap rate formula is net operating income divided by the property's market value. So let me break it down for you. How to calculate your net operating income, also known as NOI. It's the property's annual income after deducting operating expenses, but before factoring in debt service and taxes. Add up all the property's income streams like rental income, parking fees, etc., and then subtract the operating expenses like property management fees, maintenance costs, insurance, etc. The resulting figure is your NOI. Next part is you are going to determine the property's market value. This can simply be the purchase price or the current market appraisal value. And finally, you're going to plug those values into the formula. You'll divide the calculated NOI by the property's market value to get the cap rate. The cap rate is usually expressed as a percentage. Once you complete the formula, a cap rate provides insight to the property's potential return based on its income-generating capabilities. A higher cap rate generally indicates a higher potential return and potentially higher risk. Conversely, a lower cap rate suggests lower risk but potentially lower returns. Please note that a cap rate is a simple tool and does not account for factors like financing terms, future appreciation, or potential changes in the property's operating income. It's best used as a starting point for evaluating investment opportunities and should be combined with other financial and market analysis. In summary, mastering the calculation and interpretation of the cap rate is a valuable skill for real estate investors. It helps you quickly assess the relative value and income potential of different properties, aiding in more informed investment decisions. But remember, always conduct thorough research and consider seeking advice from experienced professionals before finalizing any investment choices. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Tracy Mebane, better known as Pinkhammer. Tracy is founder and CEO of Allman Reno and Realty, also doing business as ARR Cabinets. She began hands-on renovating houses back in 2009 and flourishes in the chaos that job sites, budget deadlines, and timelines can cause. Tracy is also a realtor, project manager for residential renovation projects, and the host of the Entrepreneur Pinks and Blues show. The first time I met her, I knew I needed some Pinkhammer in my life. So welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
We have our fun t-shirts on today. You are wearing a sparkly Pinkhammer badass shirt, and my shirt says, "I'm a delight," just in case anyone needs to know that. Which this is just audio, but we are just loving our t-shirts in this one. So yes. Tracy Pinkhammer, it is an honor to have you on the show today. And tell us, how did you get involved in real estate?
So it started back, I think I was a case manager for children and adults with autism way back in 2008, and Medicaid cut billing. So I ended up, at the time I was married, I ended up just working with my ex-husband on his job. He was a handyman. And then I realized that I could paint. And then I realized that I had the same eye for fashion, for clothing, as for, the aesthetics of putting together a house, from, drywall to flooring to the paint to the carpet and that sort of thing. And then the investors in Fayetteville were like, if we just give you $25,000 and go on vacation, could you fix this house for us? And I just was having a good time. And next thing you know it, I have my own company. I'm single again, and I just continue to do it. And since 2011, I have been creating an income for myself doing renovations for just residential. I haven't done any real commercial things, but just residential renovations for investment properties.
Well, I have heard amazing things about you. So I was like, and we met at a meetup. Actually, I was talking about podcasting, and you have your own show as well, which we'll talk about a little later. But everyone's like, Jen, you have got to meet Pinkhammer. She is going to be on your show. She's a hoot. And I just love it. So let's get to it. Biggest question here, where did Pinkhammer come from?
So Pinkhammer started when I used to be in the job sites, and I did the work with my own two hands. I learned how to hang drywall. I was carrying a 50-pound bag of concrete in, LVP flooring. At the time, it wasn't luxury vinyl plank. It was just like that laminate wood flooring, and I did the work in light plumbing, electrical fixtures, that sort of thing. But what I realized is that I would buy great tools, like, not the cheap stuff. I would buy the really expensive tools, and they started disappearing off the job sites. And then the guys would say, no, this is mine, right? Because I did work with predominantly men. And I started bedazzling and hot pink taping, the duct tape, the hot pink duct tape all over my tools. And for some reason, it was almost like raid to roaches for those men. I can't make this up. I don't know how their manhood was directly impacted by the pink, but it worked. And after that, they started calling me, oh, there goes little Miss Pinkhammer. And then it was, Miss Pinkhammer. And so it's got to be going on like 12 years now.
I love that. So you have your real estate license, but you basically, where your passion is being a project manager, which is so important. I'm married to a general contractor, and I'm telling you, like, sorry, Vance, but I'm a better project manager than he is. So there's such a need for what you do. So tell the audience what you bring to a project by hiring a project manager.
Okay, so the GC is there to make money for their company. That doesn't mean that you're not his client. And just like with any client, they will put your interests forward. But the project manager is there for the investor. It's kind of like, they work just for the investor. The job of the project manager is to make money for the project, to create, make sure that the investment gives you some type of
profit.
Profit. Thank you. Yeah. So the job, the reason behind it is to create make sure that there's more profit at the end of the project by saving costs. That doesn't mean underpaying the GC. That means, meeting the deadlines, making sure that the work is being done when they say it's going to be done within the parameters that we set, making sure that the materials that are being purchased are actually being used at the job site and they are the right materials, and that things are quoted are a necessity and not just fluff on the invoice so that they can, get a little cushion in the job. So, right. I'm basically looking out for the best interest of the investor.
Because no one ever does that, do they?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll rock with that one. Because are you kidding me? I have had my ass handed to me by every kind of ex-con, drug addict, alcoholic. You think you're smart until you get to these job sites and realize that, if someone can create a way around having to work hard and honest, if there's any business, and I don't know all businesses, but I know that in this particular realm of real estate, you can find that. I'm not saying that everyone is like that. What I am saying is that there are people who will pick this trade and literally make a living off of getting over if you're not careful. And you never see it coming because a lot of times they're so much fun and loving and smart and know everything about construction, and you just get, bamboozled.
So and I want to dive into this one story that you're telling me before we hit record, where there was a gentleman who would go to Home Depot, order materials, and you would pay. You tell the story.
Okay, so there was a guy that worked for me, and he would go shopping for me. Oh, I thought he was the best thing since sliced bread, because he was like, yeah, I'll go. And I hate, shopping, picking up materials.
And hauling materials.
Loading and unloading. So he said, I'll do it. So what he was doing was going to Home Depot. I would tell me what the price, the cost of was to purchase the materials. And then I would Cash App him. So he would take the Cash App money and use his Cash App card to buy the materials. I didn't know that he was actually buying more material than he needed and then returning it to get the credit back on his card. And so, at Home Depot and Lowe's and big box stores like that, if you have your card, you present the card or the last four numbers of your credit card, and they will credit you back to your card.
And
sometimes give you cash if it's a debit card.
So you'd say we need 50 sheets of drywall, and he would go buy 75, say, hey, it costs this, 75 sheets, and then return the 25. You're paying him for this. What an asshole.
Right. And the only way, I can't remember how it came up, but I mean, the thing is, you want to have a team that you can trust, because it makes the time that I spend watching the contractors or the subs or the vendors or reading receipts and invoices, I could go out and get more business.
Right.
You want to build a team that you trust. And once you feel like you trust them, of course, you start to drop your guard. Of course, you start to give out more responsibility. But at the end of the day, you're giving money to them, and they're going to try to find the best way they could get more money from you.
Right.
And sometimes that means taking advantage. So,
it reminds me of a window installer that I hired one time, and he was referred to me from someone else that I should have not trusted. But we were desperate because our regular window guy was not available. And so this guy said, I need a deposit up front. I'm like, well, we don't pay any deposits up front. And he said, well, I can, get the windows so much cheaper and really, and he was pushing it. So against my better judgment, I paid him for the materials. I paid him. And normally I would say, give me the supply company. I will call them and pay them directly. I won't Cash App. I'll tell you that. I will pay the supply company directly. And he said, no, I get a better discount. So I paid it. And then finally we sold the house before the windows were even installed. That was a whole nother story, but he put them in by the time we closed. And then before I gave him his final check, so this is important for the listeners out there. Before I gave him his final check, I did have him sign a lien waiver, which is a very good rule to follow, especially all the new people out there. Before you ever give anyone their final payment, a lien waiver says all materials and labor have been paid in full. So I gave him that to sign. It was like 8 months later. I wasn't even thinking about this property more. And I was served papers. I was sued by that window company. He never paid the window company for the materials. I know. So I panicked, first of all, because I'd never been sued before. And I'm like, well, I had this lien waiver. Will this help? And they're like, oh, that's all we need. Thank you. Have a great day. Whew, what a great lesson right there.
I do have lien waivers signed, but
huge.
That's a great story. Thank you. I just learned something.
Well, this is an educational podcast, and it was a great way to sneak in there with the same thing and, just protecting yourself, because yes, there are dishonest people. So while we're on this topic, as a woman on a work site, I have been at times, people look at me and, kind of talk down to me, and I'm like,
mansplain. I call it mansplaining. Go ahead.
Have you ever had any horror stories about just being a woman on a work site?
Yeah, so I'll try to be brief. I'll give one example. I mean, I literally have watched a subcontractor or it's sub get out of his truck and walk over to one of my workers. I mean, this guy looked like he was on a drinking binge for 3 weeks. Like, he looked like it. I mean, he was barely lifting the wood, but that's exactly who he decided I need to talk to. And I'm just like, dude, I got the khakis on, the big shirt, the clipboard. Like, how do you go there and not come to me? But, and just because people's perception, their conditioning of where they think a place of a woman should be, it's just like being a firefighter or being in the armed services. You always got to kind of break some glass ceilings to get in there. I've been at the job site where I pay them on Friday and on Tuesday, they want more money. They feel like they can intimidate me, but I'm from Brooklyn. Okay. What you're not going to do is do that to me, because I grew up and I eat guys like you for lunch, right? In third grade, I was handling that. Like, so, that's not going to happen. But it is, I become their sister, their mother, their girlfriend in their minds. Right. And, I have to, in all fairness, and I'm not trying to just say, the male sex is terribleness. And I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that I've worked with women on the job site, and I was a yes, ma'am. Can you give me that in writing? Can you text that to me so I can make sure? Yeah, completely different treatment. So this is definitely an internal thought process, basically how they think a woman's place should be. And they try me, but I'm not to be tried. I told you a story about the guy, he was shoveling the gravel and it was hot outside. And he was like, hey, can you go get me some water? And I was walking by and I was like, can you write your fucking check? I was like, buddy, get back to work. How dare I said, as a matter of fact, don't ever speak to me again. Like, I have to be that way. And I don't go on to the job site thinking I have to be that way. But if they show me that they're not going to, if there's a compliment about my eyes or a body part, I have to nip it in the bud, because it will, they will stop working and spend time just trying to intimidate or distract me or slow the work down. And I can't have that, because again, it's an investment property. We're not going to live there. Right. So.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad you told that story, by the way. So I want to get into, we talked briefly, the importance of having a project manager, but running the day-to-day process of managing a project is so important. What are some things that newer people that are listening to this podcast, just like a scope of work, for example, just creating a scope of work. Can you first of all tell us what a scope of work is? And then what are some mistakes that you can do with a scope of work?
Well, just starting from the beginning, a lot of times people will go to get their loan, their hard money loan, and the lender will ask them for a budget. Basically, what are you going to do to the house and how much it costs? And then you give them a number, let's say $100,000, right? Right. And then you get to the job site. And now that you own the house, you get to open up walls, demo cabinets, pull up floor, and you find that the whole subfloor is rotted. Mm-hmm. Termites have torn up the whole bottom support system of the house. There's a foundation issue. You have bats in the attic that you can't actually exterminate until August.
Or raccoons. Or
raccoons, right? And then you find out that the scope of work or the budget that you created with the scope of work that you've given to the lender is not going to meet what really needs to be done. That's first of all. And so it's really important that when you devise your scope of work, that you think about all the tiny little incidental things: doorknobs, light bulbs,
poles. Door pulls. Yep.
Door pulls, baseboard.
Mailboxes.
Mailboxes.
House numbers.
House numbers. You'd be surprised how this stuff adds up. I was talking the other closet shelves, the shelves for the closet, those pre-cut shelves for the closet are like $100 for like a 12-inch wide shelf that might go about 60 inches long, right? And then you still have to look at the pole that goes in there and all the little brackets that the pole goes into, and and pantry shelves that might be nasty and gooky, and you have to cut new wood and paint. Like, all these things tend to add up. So it's really important that before you start to work on your project, that you go back to the house after you've purchased it, preferably after you've demoed it, and devise a real detailed scope of work. Go to each room and write down every single thing you see in that room. Trim around the windows, rotted wood trim around the windows. I mean, any contractor is going to charge you an extra $150 just to fix that.
Right.
So it's really important that you go back in and you pull the house apart and you go room by room and devise a detailed scope of work. You see a handle on a door? Write that door, not 2 doorknobs.
Right.
Okay. 2 dumb doorknobs. That's what they call them, like for closets and stuff.
Dummy doorknobs. Yes.
Dummy doorknobs.
And by the way, what do you call the lights that are up on the ceiling?
Flush mounts.
Yes. Do you have any? See, I call them titty lights because I'm pretty sure
they are. I call them nipple nips because they actually have a nipple. Like what
nipple?
Is
what?
Nipple nips. They're nipple nip lights. Because right? I mean, I have to be cold for that. Like I literally cannot get over the fact. I know that whoever designed those lights at the time that he was creating that designing it, he was probably we know what he was thinking about.
I know. And yes, exactly. Because, a man created those. So creating a detailed scope of work is also very important. And you're also making some really, really good points about when you're borrowing money, because typically a hard money lender expects monthly interest payments while the project's going on. So if you don't have that, we're talking about upfront costs in the beginning, or I'm sorry, before we even hit record, but we're also talking about a lot of time how those draw schedules work is, your hard money lender is going to pay 100% of that rehab budget, but you have to do the work first, have someone come out, evaluate, make sure that it's done, and then they will release those funds into your bank account. So, and you have to pay for that wire too. So you are making some really, really good points. And by having a project manager is what's going to smooth this process along. So how do you help people with the keeping the budget going, all those things so that it runs smoother? Because they're paying for your services, but you're also saving them a lot of money. So how do you save them money in this process?
Right. So the difference between a house that you keep for 3 months from purchase to exit strategy, the closing sale, as opposed to a house that you keep for 12 months because the contractor or the subs either put the wrong tile in or put it in the wrong way. I mean, I've actually walked across the tile floor it was bumpy, like planks on the beach on the boardwalk. Like it was really bumpy in between each. It was nuts. I mean, these things hold up. So now you're paying, instead of 3 months of interest payments, you're paying 6 to 12 months of interest payment. That eats away at your bottom line profit. And there's no getting that back because the lender is going to want their money or they're going to foreclose. A lot of times people will pull the trigger quickly on as soon as they close. They go, go do the roof. Because now I'm just, I'll pay, the roof is really $7,000, but I put $12,000 in my budget for the roof. And then they want to pull that $12,000 out of the budget. But now they use the $12,000 to make their first interest payment.
Yep. So
now you have the $7,000 to the roofer, then the $3,000 that you paid for the interest payment. And you're literally left for this second phase of your job, another $2,000. What are you doing with that other than the buying materials? If you buy the materials or, maybe put a down payment or something.
Right.
So I say before you actually pull the trigger, it usually takes 2 weeks to plan your job before you do your first thing other than cleaning the property. That means demoing. You want to pull the cabinets off, take the bathroom tubs out if you're going to do that, pull up the floor. You want to see what the house is really working with. And then while you're doing the demo and getting everything cleaned up in the yard and all that stuff and out of the attic, and you're devising a detailed scope of work again, going back, writing everything down. And then when you say you get your estimates from your subs, you assign your subs to the job, you get your estimates, and then you have this list of things to do, separated into 3 to 4 phases. You have the people that you're going to hire. They are fully aware of the job, the scope of work, and they have looked at it and went over it with you. And you have your prices. So you should, at that point, know whether you can meet that budget or not. And if you can meet that budget, great. But if you see that you're already over the budget and you're 3/4 of the way through on paper, you could believe in real life it's going to be more than that.
And also, listeners, as you are doing your scope of work, your repair budget, everything, I believe in adding a contingency. I always add either 10 to 20% regardless, because I'm telling you, when I'm designing stuff, I'm like, ooh, it's going to look so much better if we do that instead. And of course, it's more money. So, and then also those things like I was just buying a mailbox and house numbers and mirrors for the bathroom. We were just talking about that. I had to go pick those up before we listed a property last week. So yes, it definitely keeps adding up. You definitely need that contingency in there. Is always a good rule of thumb. So what about time-wise? Why is it great to have a project manager when it comes to time? Because time is money.
That's right. And you need somebody to babysit that job site. There's a contractor friend of mine his name is Chris Pugh, and he's been in this business 25 years. So he's watched Raleigh grow.
Nice.
In Raleigh, North Carolina. So the first 2 days they may, whoever you hire to do the job might show up with 5 people the first 2 days. Then, what did he say? He parked his car across the street and waited, and only one person got out the van for the next 3 days. And this one person was doing like a 2,500 square foot house. One person can't do a 2,500 square foot house and keep you on track. Somebody needs to babysit the job site. So if you have let's say 3 phases of scope, 3 phases in your scope, and phase 1 is, we're going to get all the drywall prepped and the floors prepped. The drywall prepped for painting, ceiling scraped, drywall mudded, sanded, everything prepped for painting. If a crew of 5 show up, they really could be done in 2 days.
Right. Yes.
Depending on the size of the house. And a magnificent job at that, right? Mm-hmm. But if a crew of 5 shows up for 2 days and then they don't come back until they finish that job across town 2-3 weeks later, your job is sitting. That is a whole month of interest payment for nothing.
Exactly.
And this is where I come in, because someone has to tell you it's not getting done. And I'm quick to fire that ass. You hear me? Don't step on my job site and not show up for 2 or 3 days. Don't even come back.
Yep.
I'm changing lockbox codes. Oh, get a Simply Safe alarm. I love Simply Safe because you can take it with you when you finish with the project.
Well, is it with internet though? Simply Safe?
So, I'm going to be honest with you. You could get the little internet box in the closet. That's one way. You could do it that way. It used to didn't be where it had to be internet, Wi-Fi.
Okay.
You could turn the Wi-Fi on in the house. I mean, it's a very low expense, and it's like $70 a month, right? You just need Wi-Fi for that. Or you could just plug it up and let the blue light and have the motion sensor, the door open. I mean, come on. Who's going to know?
Well, I have one more thing to teach you. I use trail cams. Do you ever use trail cams?
No.
So trail cams are for hunters. They are camouflaged. And what it does is it detects movement. So if someone is like a turkey hunter, mm-hmm. and a turkey goes by. So I put them up at our projects, first of all, for vandalism or anyone trying to break in and steal stuff. But it's also to see who's coming in and out. And I can see a certain contractor who is out there going through 2 packs of cigarettes. And I know he's the one that dropped that. I charge $5 for every cigarette butt that I have to pick up.
Are you are you my sister? You're the twin sister. I'm telling you, I knew you were out there somewhere. Like, I do the same thing. Like, don't.
Yes.
If you want to hear I can tell you something that it might be a little vulgar. Do you want to hear it?
Girl, you need to know me better. Lay it on me. Let's hear this.
So I finished the house. I mean, it was cleaned, ready, brand new appliances, new toilets, ready to show. The guys had to go in there to do some little finishing touches or whatever. They cooked a meal, or they heated up their fish and beans, whatever. Used the toilet, didn't flush it. Cigarette butts all over my new mulch. It was like they had a little party out there. It was horrible. So I started writing in my agreements, everyone for each property, I make them re-sign a new agreement. that so they know no going in the house after hours unless I'm notified. No smoking on the premises, cigarette butts, no using appliances. And once everything's installed, you can't use it. You have to take, either bring your thermos or bring your little cooler or whatever in your car. And I started making all these rules. Now, I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, that's something else I need to add to my list. Something had to happen for me to decide to add to my list another thing they can't do, because believe it or not, people will treat the job site like they treat their home.
Right.
And this is work. And because it's a home or a house, they don't see it like it's an office.
Right.
Or a job. So they do things there that they could do at home. So you have to kind of get them in mind that this is work, this is a business, even though it's a house, it's a business house, right? So I worked around that. So yeah, I'm a little extra. No, I'm serious.
Extra is fine. I put up a code of conduct in all of my houses and I have it in English and Spanish.
And in Spanish, me too.
Yes, it is so important.
And I have hot pink stickies that I put on stuff. And I use stickies because you can write on them like what the is this? With a little arrow.
Yes, we are soul sisters.
Curse words in every language, okay?
We are definitely soul sisters. This is so fun. So to wrap up this first part of the podcast here, you are now going into consulting, because we are both talking about we're shocked at each of our ages, as we were discussing off camera, that we will not be talking about in the microphone.
Exactly. No details, please.
But you are now moving to the more consulting side, and you do a lot locally, but you will travel and work with people's projects. So how do people find you to use some of your services? And by the way, you are in Raleigh, North Carolina. We didn't we mentioned Raleigh, but will do any consulting in this area, but you also will travel. So how do people find you to learn more from you?
So I will, if you have a house anywhere between Fayetteville and Chapel Hill, I think I've gone out to like Roxborough. You can hire me and I will manage the project because it's within an hour driving distance.
Right.
If you're out of state, so there's a couple of ways that you can do the consulting. Fly me in, and I'll spend 2 or 3 days with you, devising your scope of work with you, speaking and onboarding, vetting, firing, hiring your subs. You would have to choose them and have them ready. If I have to talk to them all at the same time, we can make sure that each one of them get their work orders. So their work orders are specific to what we would have them do. I like to give work orders because they can use them as a little checklist so that they don't forget anything. So one time I had someone install a microwave and they forgot to put the wires together. Like the microwave was up, but the wires weren't in. So, you want to make sure that, you go through detailed stuff work. So I will show up and I'll stay for a week or so, get you started. And then I will be able to do phone conferences with you or video conferences. We have all this Zoom and I use WhatsApp. Okay. We can do live it because I have a Galaxy and I don't want to hear nothing from you iPhone people. Okay.
Girl, I am right there with you. I just got a new Galaxy watch too.
I love Galaxy.
I do too. Samsung till I die.
Me too. Keep it. So, you can always call me and video, conference me in, or I can make phone calls to your subs and ask them if they have a problem, because I am basically like the liaison, the social worker of real estate. Contractors get dogged too by investors.
Yes.
And I was that contractor.
Yep.
And I have had to say, hey, look, you're asking for $50,000 worth of work and you're telling me you're going to pay me $30,000. Like, where's this extra 20 coming from? And, I've had to push back and I've had to say, I have to stop work if you don't make my payments, because it's Christmas time for my family as well as it is for yours. Right.
Yep.
And, and then I've been the investor where I'm like, oh, okay, it's $100 a day for every day that you're late. Right. If I have a contractor. Mm-hmm. And one contractor, I subtracted $3,000 out of his final pay. So I'm the one in the middle who's looking at both sides and making sure that we all play nice.
That is great.
So that's
And how do they find you?
Oh, you can go. Yeah, where I live at now. You can go to Facebook and message me. It's Tracy Pinkhammer on Facebook. My email is Tracy Tracy, no E. My daddy Tracy at Allman Renovations. That's ALLMANRENOVATIONS renovations with an S at the end.com. AllmanRenovations.com. You can email me. You can call me. I'm not giving my number out to you.
No, don't
people.
give your number. But
I don't know about you guys.
But you do have a website too, though.
I have a website, tracypinkhammer.com.
Yep.
There is a definite, you can reach out to me on there. There's a form there that you can fill out. And it also has my contact information. I am really easy. My third grade boyfriend found me. So you can find me. No, I'm not like, we're friends now on Facebook.
And another way to find you is through your YouTube show. You have a show called Entrepreneur Pinks and Blues Show. So tell me, what are pinks and what are blues?
So the pinks are the highs of being an entrepreneur and the blues are the lows. And one of the things, I've been creating an income, I think I started in 2009, but I incorporated in 2011. And I'm telling you, when the hurricanes came through North Carolina that time, I had 3 properties plus my own home. I had to pay 4 mortgages, 4 insurance payments, 4 maintenance, lights, electricity, utilities, so forth, and wait for the water to recede, the roads to be fixed, and the market to open back. 8 months. 8 months I had to sustain 4 houses.
Wow.
And I just tell you this to tell you that, you know, that's a blue, baby.
Yes.
Okay. If you think that I had so many encounters with Jesus during that time. Like he literally comes to my bed and go, look, I told you it's going to be all right. Get up. And then another time, my cousin and I, after all that happened and I got back on my feet, I don't know if I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry if I do that. Sometimes I get my way. And we were doing flipping houses and she was my money and I was the flipper. So she would line them up and I'd knock them down. And then in March of 2020, she died from she had COVID and she went to get a little plastic surgery. 44, the most beautiful. She looked like a better version of Beyonce. Like she was a beauty. And I mean, she was the marketing director for Donna Karan.
Oh,
she
wow.
lined up here. I mean, she had the highest credit score to anyone. She was a beast. And she went to get her chin tucked or something she didn't like. But she was sick for 2 weeks and we didn't know. We thought it was a cold. And she was taking all this cold medicine. And when she got off the table, her heart stopped. And it was, I have to say, I'm not going to cry. I'm not gonna cry because it's been since 2020 and I should be okay. But I have to tell you the phone call with them calling me and telling me, speak to her on the speakerphone because she was in New York and try to wake her up. That 30 minutes of screaming for her to wake up made me give up. When I tell you I gave up because what was it all for?
Right.
And then COVID hit and everything just went kind of nuts. I was losing friends and family left and right in New York.
Wow.
You know, my brother called and said, oh, you know, I don't think I'm going to make it through the night. I just want to tell you I love you. You know, so I went through that and they basically, you know, said I was a little shell shocked. And I didn't work for 2 years. That's a blue.
Yeah.
But I can tell you some pinks, baby. Boy, I've had some good friends. I've had some laughter. I've had to run from, I was going to say something, but they might look I don't have that truck anymore, so you can't find me. We've had a blast. I've met some great people. I've made money. I made enough money to sustain me. I was able to, you know, call out anything I wanted and had it at the touch of my hand. I have been so pink. The brightest, most fluorescent pink you ever see. So when the blues hit, you have to pull off that energy that you got from your pink, your high, your happy place. And even if you just have to shut it down for a little while just to get your mind back, it took me literally 2 years. But When I came back, I am so happy, and I am loving to the point where I am just the most, I'm surprised. I'm surprised at the shit I let slide. But honestly, I stay in church, I do. But at the same time, the curses. So anyway, that's another story. But I am surprised at how I believe in grace and mercy and compassion. Because once you go through that,
right,
you understand that making money, prospering, building wealth, generational wealth can be done in love. And that's just where I'm at right now with this. So I don't want to ever go back to the girl I was before that happened,
right.
even though she was a powerhouse, because she also fell apart when something tragic happened. I want to be this girl who understands life as we go forward into making, a future for ourselves. So.
I love that. So what you just bring guests on your show, like other entrepreneurs, and you talk about the pinks and the blues? Is that what's the basis of the show? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I had Mike G from the Jungle Brothers. He's a plumber, master plumber, but he used to be, I don't know if you remember, let's see, Mike G from the Jungle Brothers was a big time hip hop group back in New York City in the 80s and 90s.
I'm the least hippest person as far as hip hop music. I like musicals, and I like my Eva Cassidy, my Jason Mraz, I'm the least coming up. But anyway,
and he told about, how someone stole his music and went somewhere else and licensed it in another country and they didn't get it paid. And now they're all back together in their 50s doing music again. So, you heal.
Yes.
If you walk right, you'll heal and you'll get back on your feet. So.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for sharing all that. And the second part of the podcast is what makes Pinkhammer a badass, which you are. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. So what is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I want to say it's not called I Love Myself, but the book teaches you how to say that to yourself. And I believe it's Love Yourself like your life depended on it.
Okay.
I believe was the name of the book. And I've shared it with a few friends. I feel like it really benefits women who kind of dumb down their badassery because it's kind of what we're conditioned to do, right? But I feel like that book, I get in the mirror and I'm telling you, I have looked into someone's eyes before and said, I love you. And said it with the squinty, the smizing eyes and you could feel the oozing of the love coming out of me, right? But I couldn't do it for me. I couldn't look in the mirror and tell myself I love myself with that same passion. And I thought that was weird,
right?
Considering how I carry myself in public. So my secret place in the house, I wasn't as confident or aware or in love with myself as I should be when I'm putting on the show for the outside world. So I've learned to do that. And that book helped me figure that out.
Well, that is huge and so great to share. I don't know that one. I'll have to check it out. Excellent. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I can't remember what I told you I was going to say.
You said for life, look for the light and be the light. Everything else will fall into place.
And I believe that. I do. Thank you. I do. I believe that we have a light inside of us that we were created to shine.
Yes.
And I think that people do a lot of looking at other people's faults and discussing them out loud. I'm not going to say I'm perfect in this because I'm still learning.
Right.
But I do try to look for the light in other people. And I try to connect that because I really believe that everything else after you do that works itself out. You know how many times I've met women who, when I show up in my little jeans and my boots and my little tool belt on, who look at me and whatever reason they don't like me. Could be jealousy, could be just that, they don't think women should be. And I've just loved them into sisterhood. It didn't matter what color they were, what country they're from, whatever ideas they had, they got to know me as a person because I saw the light in them, right? If I had noticed and paid attention to what they were showing, displaying to me, we would have killed the whole deal. That didn't make sense.
We definitely need to hang out more. When are we going out for drinks?
We are.
I'm enjoying your light. So this is awesome. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
So it used to be money. And also, like, walking.
I'm glad you're honest about that, by the way, because a lot of people won't reveal that. So,
yes. Girl, what I used to get money and take the cash out of the bank and like rub it all over my arm. Well, I love it. Okay, I just check the bank account 3 times a day. It's crazy because you can turn anything into an idol, right? And yes. I think that right now it's about helping. It's about making sure that whoever's young coming behind me doesn't hit the same walls that I mean, what was the point? Right. If I can't, what do you call it? Pass it on or pass it forward. I feel like I believe in building generational wealth and not buying Coach bags with the money or just having a nice house so I can show everybody my new TV. I'm not going to say it's silly, but I think now I see a bigger picture than I did before. And I understand that for me, that prosperity is not just about having the money, but also being able to go see my baby nephew who's 3 years old.
Aww.
And him call me TT and kiss me with sloppy kiss. Like, it's those things. And having the money to do that, the money is the means in order to buy the tickets and buy him gifts. That means that I have to be successful at work. And so that's probably how I'm looking at it. It's more of a resource. And not a lifestyle.
Yes, a resource, not a lifestyle. So well said. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Girl, you got the wrong. I'm the most scared. Let me tell you something. I'm a creator, damn it. I'm an artist. I need a manager. I do what I do and I'm good at it. And then after that, it's all pretty much hit or miss. It's just like, I aspire to be organized.
Well, I think that's going to lead into our next section here, which is the first S, which is for systems. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So I have systems for project management.
Yes.
That's crazy. But I've spent 15 years developing these systems. Mm-hmm. Oh, this didn't work. Going on a computer and sheet after sheet after sheet and spreadsheet until I have a whole process in place. And I have a system written down for how to open mail and file it, but no, that doesn't happen. I have a system for my morning routine. I believe in
What's your morning routine?
So I get up in the morning and Alexa says, "Good morning, Tracy. You're a badass. God is on your side and he loves you," or whatever she says to me. It's like every morning I hear it.
I love it.
Today is going to be one step closer to, the dreams and all this stuff, right? And then she starts to play CeCe Winans gospel music. And then I go into praise and worship because had it not been for the blood of Jesus, all I'm saying, God knows where I'd be. So, I do a little praise and worship. I spend some time kind of like calling my family, praying over them, sending out texts, telling all the young ones in the family, especially the ones with children, not to give up, things like that. And then I get up and get a cup of coffee and I start working and taking care of my clients. And not just my clients, but anyone who comes into my circle is my family until I have to kick them out. If I have to kick you out, you're out. But if you're in, you're in. That's it.
That's a very good morning routine. So going back to the systems, so you have your morning routine, you definitely have your project management. Do you have other systems that help you achieve success? I know what you wrote here.
What did I write?
You wrote, "Girl, I'm a mess."
That's why I don't want to lie. I'm like, are you kidding me? The only thing consistent in my life is, I like pink. I love tools. I love a job site. Oh, I'm telling you, the best date I ever had was Starbucks coffee and Home Depot. Like, we literally spent 3-4 hours in Home Depot walking around looking at flooring.
Nice.
And I liked him.
Sop him up with a biscuit, huh? So What's your favorite day when we're totally off topic now because you're just so much fun to talk. My favorite day, you mentioned drywall, is drywall day. When the drywall goes up, because then it starts really feeling like a home because you're no longer, looking from the front of the house to the back of the house through the studs. So what's your favorite part of doing a rehab?
I want to say when the kitchen comes together.
Oof, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I mean, the painting and the flooring, and I walk through, I'm excited to see the progress. But when I see those cabinets, and I sell kitchen cabinets, so I use my cabinet. And then I always design some badass kitchen, soft close this,
Oof.
Maybe a glass door at the top.
Yep.
I like to frame in the refrigerators and make sure there's a little, and then two-tone islands, like maybe white cabinets with a royal blue island with white granite. And then I like to maybe sliding shelves in the cabinets.
Yes.
So when the kitchen goes in, so I have literally laid on a counter and been like literally, I'm telling you, I love when the kitchen is done, when the lights go in, and then the rest of the house, to me, they're just rooms. But the kitchen, the best times of your life at home have been in the kitchen.
That is true.
With the family eating and cooking.
I have had some good times in the bedroom too. I'll say that.
Yes, I didn't know. But it's not my bedroom, so I don't look at it like that. It's just a room full of
other people's room. Yes. You are so much fun. So to wrap this up, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to Tracy Pinkhammer?
Success is that I meant something. I did something that God creating me and putting me here with all of this inside of me, that I'm leaving a legacy of love and hard work, strength. I'm not talking about the physical strength. I mean, strength of character.
Yes.
Strength of your soul is strong. Knowing that you were built for it because something bigger than you exists and you're not by yourself. And I want, no matter what anyone is doing, I want to make sure that if they need something and I have it, I'll give it to them. If I see them struggling, that they're going to hear love out of my mouth and something loving, even if it's hard love or tough love is what they call it. I just want to be able to contribute to this earth with all this ugliness going. I want to bring something beautiful besides just a beautiful home for you to live in. I want my existence, because I'm only 3% body. The rest of it is really what's going on in my heart and head, right in my mind. That needs to leave the legacy.
Right.
I mean, I am fine, and I got body for days, but at the end of the day, that's going to shrivel up and get old, and everything else is still going to be there, and that needs to be what I use to contribute then.
Well, I hope you can contribute to a drink with Jen Josie in the near future, because you and I, we are soul sisters. We need to hang out a lot more. So
we do.
Tracy, thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Me too. I really thank you for. I'm so excited. I got goosebumps all over. I just love you. I just when I was like, I want to be with her. Like, I pick my people. I'm so weird. Like, I watched you and you were giving the presentation. I kept bursting out, like talking to you, like one-on-one. And you gave me the little side eye, like, calm down, lady. Like, you just were so busy presenting. But I was so excited about your energy. And I look for that because, we have iron sharpens iron. And I could feel that from you. So thank you for feeling the same way about me. And
absolutely. Well, thank you. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com. or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.